I am testing the viral Copic marker alternative, the Ohuhu Markers. Can they actually live up to their hype? Let's find out. So if you've been in the art community online lately, you have definitely heard of the Ohuhu Markers. They are absolutely blowing up as the budget-friendly rival to expensive professional-grade markers such as Copic or Touch. But can a marker that costs so much less actually deliver pro-level results? Today, we're going to find out. We're doing a full in-depth review, starting with a complete unboxing and ending with a final illustration showdown. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what these viral markers have to offer and if they're the right choice for you. Alright, I'd say we start by having a look at them. First impressions are everything, and the Ohuhu markers definitely start strong. The markers come in this really nice, sturdy carrying case. This is already a huge plus in my opinion. Now let's see what's inside. Obviously, we have the markers themselves. There's more that I actually didn't know about. First thing I pulled out is this plastic sheet to put under your paper to prevent bleed-through. And this is actually amazing. I haven't seen that come with any other markers before. Then, of course, we have this little flyer book that gives you an overview over all the Ohuhu markers out there and the colors that they have, which is pretty nice to look through and a pretty cool addition, to be honest. And then we also have these pre-printed color cards that we can fill in with our own markers to see how the color actually looks, which I also think is absolutely amazing. Honestly, getting all of this included, especially the case and the cards, is a fantastic bonus that you don't get with the more expensive brands. And now let's have a look at the markers themselves. Here is the Ohuhu Honolulu marker. From the outside, to me, they actually make a pretty high quality impression, especially compared to the Copic markers, which I sometimes tend to find a little cheaper looking, even though they are really high quality. But the look isn't everything. Here you can see both of the tips we have. I got the one with the soft chisel on one side and the brush on the other one. So what we're gonna do now is putting them up against the two industry titans, the Copics and the Touch marker. Visually, they all share that similar dual tip design, even though they look a little different in their general overall design. But holding them, the build quality on all three feels pretty solid. So we'll be focusing on the brush nib end here, as that is one of the main reasons most artists get these markers in the first place. And to test the feel, I'm using the same orange color from all these three brands in comparison. First up, the Touch marker. Here, the brush tip is really soft and smooth. It almost feels like a real paintbrush. It's incredibly flexible and gives you that beautiful brush-looking line. Next to the Copic, it's also very soft and high-quality brush tip, but the ink feels a bit more opaque and covering right away. It like really glides across that paper and you don't have that fade out so much as you do in the Touch markers. And now, to the Ohuhu. The first thing I noticed, and this was a bit of a surprise, is that the tip is noticeably firmer and less flexible than the other two. The ink, however, is incredibly vibrant and very opaque on the first stroke. Now let's make use of those included color cards and see how the colors look on paper. I'll test a variety of shades here. So as I'm filling these out, you can see the colors are fundamentally what the cap shows. However, they're often significantly more intense and vibrant than the cap might suggest. In some cases, the color isn't perfectly accurate, as in some of these examples here, but this basically confirms that making a chart for your Ohuhu set isn't just a suggestion, it's actually pretty essential to know what your colors truly look like in the end. And now, let's give this an ultimate last test. The color cards are one thing, but how do they actually perform in a real drawing? I'm gonna be drawing the same picture of a cherry tree twice. First using the Copic and Touch markers, and then creating the same piece using only the new Ohuhus. And as I work here, the differences in the tips become very clear. With the Copics and Touch markers, I get that very soft, painterly brush feeling, but moving to the Ohuhu drawing, the experience is kinda different. The firmer tip means you have less of that soft brush feel, but it offers a lot of control on the other hand. The colors are extremely strong and vibrant. And here's a huge positive point I discovered. There's no issue with layering. The ink is so covering that you can go over the same spot multiple times and the colors blend into themselves beautifully without creating these blotches or ugly overlap lines. For me, that is one of the most important qualities in a marker. And here you can see the final result. You can definitely see the differences. While the Copic and Touch markers offer this like very smooth, brushy, lighter kind of result, the Ohuhu markers create a very strong, vibrant, and a little less smooth experience, but that doesn't necessarily have to be bad. So after all this, Are the Ohuhu markers right for you? Let's break down the pros and cons. The positive aspects are undeniable. The markers themselves look great, and the included carrying case, color cards, and the protective sheet are a fantastic bonus. The colors are incredibly strong, and most importantly, they blend smoothly into themselves, allowing you to go over areas multiple times without creating ugly layers. On the downside, the color cap isn't always perfectly accurate, and the main difference is the feel. The tip is quite harder and less brushy, so you won't really get that soft paintbrush-like feeling, from a brand like Touch. And finally, I found that blending very different colors together is a little less effective than with the premium brands. Ultimately, however, Ohuhu proves you don't need to spend a fortune to get a high-quality result. They have definitely earned their hype, in my opinion. And this is it. Thank you so much for watching this detailed review. I hope this helps you decide if Ohuhu markers are the right tool for your art. Happy creating!